Yeshiva World.
So I will start by first saying thank you. Thank you because we've had this conversation literally since my first day in the City Council. We've asked for a study. The study's finally been released. The recommendations are finally going to go into effect, and we're excited about it. And so it's not a question, it's simply a thanks, and then I'll move on to some of the issues that my esteemed colleague have raised. And so here's a point that I want to make to my esteemed colleague, and I respect my colleague. He's doing what you have to do. Listen, if your neighborhood loses even 1 minute, which is what it's going to be on average, 1 minute of service, certainly it is your job to complain, and I don't begrudge him for defending his constituents. I'm sorry, 1.3 minutes to be exact, based on your report. I'm looking at the report here. 1.3 minutes. You had your time, you know, it's a respectful process, Councilor Merlander. But you know what's interesting is, when there was a G-train extension, and the G-train extension slowed down the F service, I didn't complain. Nobody in Southern Brooklyn complained that Councilor Merlander's constituents had more robust service. Absolutely not, because that's what a New Yorker does. You don't begrudge other New Yorkers. When in fact there was a BQX that was suggested, a $2 billion plan that Councilor Merlander's constituents will benefit from, I didn't complain, and I'm not complaining because we don't begrudge other New Yorkers. It's not very New York-like, honestly, to begrudge New Yorkers who've been waiting for 30 years for some improvements and are finally have a hope of getting an improvement and saying, oh, well, you know, I live in a transit-rich area, my constituents are wealthy and successful and popular and have access, and they are entitled to have the best service in New York. But you poor schlubs that live in Southern Brooklyn shouldn't get it. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's a conversation we should be having, and I want to move away from that. I will say this. I think Councilor Merlander is correct. We certainly could have had opportunities to have a more robust conversation. We should have a more robust conversation. There are things that we can do, like adding more F trains, adding more G service, for example. That could, in fact, make this win-win for everyone. But I certainly don't think the conversation should be about us versus them, when all we're asking as residents of Southern Brooklyn in a transit-starved area where it can take an hour and a half to get to Manhattan is to get something back that we've gotten before. We're not asking for any of those fancy things that you get, you know, Park Slope and other neighborhoods where you get new service and you get, you know, new light rail. That's not what we're asking for. Just a restoration of what we've had before. So I thank you for starting the conversation. I appreciate the commitment. And I do think that we should make Councilor Merlander's district whole. And I think we can do that. We should figure out ways to do it, whether it's adding more F trains or adding more G trains. We can do it. And I'm committed to doing it together with Councilor Merlander and together with the MTA. Thank you very much.